To see you guys today. This is a smaller group than our last class, which is really cool, so we're hoping that you're going to be able to get your questions answered if you need to. But my name is Allison. We're here from Virginia Western, and I see a lot of familiar faces, so that's nice to see some of you guys again. This is Rachel, and we are the onboarding and outreach team, so our job is to help students, specifically high school students. So Rachel and I's whole job is just helping high school students who want to come to Virginia Western. And this is Jeff. He works in our financial aid office. So we are here to talk to you guys today about financial aid, not just Virginia Western. So we know that some of you may be planning to go somewhere after high school that's not Virginia Western, and that's okay. We are not mad. We are just here to help you with that process. If you are coming to Virginia Western, we want to help you definitely as well. So, Rachel, anything you want to say before we get started?
No, so we're going to go over a lot of different things throughout this presentation. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask us. Just raise your hand, ask them in the middle. We'll have questions at the end. Whatever you want to do, just we're here to kind of help you with any questions that you have regarding financial aid, college in general, whether it's 4-year, 2-year. So that's what we want to help you with today.
And Rachel put together a ton of materials up here for you guys, so we'll refer to some of these as we go through the presentation today. So as we do that, if you want to come and grab one at the end, you can, and we will leave time for you guys to come up and talk to us. If you filled out your FAFSA, that's your financial aid application, we'll talk about that. And you have a specific question, like, did I do this right? You know, was I supposed to do this, or what's next? You can come and talk to Jeff if you have a question about Western or just college in general. We'll give you guys a lot of time to ask questions. So we'll give you time. We brought our laptops. I know some of you guys might have too. Rachel and I have been digging in with students at school, trying to help them with things along the way. So really today is about paying for your next step. So before we get started, let's get kind of a survey of the room. How many of you guys are thinking about going to a 4-year school next year? All right, where are you thinking about going?
I'm not deciding.
You haven't decided? What are you thinking about?
Sports type. It's like fine arts.
Great. Okay. What about any of you guys? 4-year schools? Anybody thinking about a 4-year school? Where are you thinking about going?
I don't know.
You don't know yet? That's okay. So some of you guys have probably put in applications. Anybody over here put in an application somewhere? Okay, what about you in the black?
Longwood.
Longwood, that's the second Longwood today. Okay, what about you?
BSU.
BSU, what is that?
Bluefield State.
Bluefield State. Okay, I didn't want to just guess. Okay. Anybody else? 4-year colleges? Okay. Anybody planning to come to Virginia Western? Yeah. Okay, Virginia Western. Anybody think about going to Patrick and Henry? All right, anybody planning to go to a trade school? Who's going right to work? Anybody? Okay, what are you guys going to be working in?
Something mechanical.
Something mechanical. All right. So we're here to talk to you guys about all of those options. One thing I will say for you 4-year folks that I did not say in the last class, and Ms. Deems, if you get a chance, maybe mention this to them. For anybody who's thinking about going to a 4-year school, definitely fill out your applications for Virginia Western, Patrick and Henry, because the way the FAFSA is working, the financial aid, we're going to talk about it, some of you won't know exactly how much those 4-year colleges are going to cost until the end of the school year, and some people think, oh, I'm not going to go to Virginia Western. We have a lot of people that show up at Virginia Western in the summertime when they get that bill from the 4-year college and they find out it's not going to be an option. So we hope that you get to do whatever it is you want to do, but we want you to have that option to come back, and we can always help you. It's just sometimes you may feel a little bit stressed. We always call it a parallel plan. Work on a plan with your 4-year school, and then if you're thinking that Virginia Western might be an option, keep working on it. Ms. Deans?
One thing I needed to say first, I totally forgot. I messed up when I went to Western because I had enough credits to get an associate's, but I didn't. So when I transferred to a 4-year college, it was a different title this class, so I retake it. So make sure you get your associate's regardless, period.
That is a great suggestion. If you're looking at Virginia Western, finish out that associate's before you transfer. They will take most colleges will take that whole associate degree and they'll say, okay, you're good. Now you just need to take your higher level classes. So yeah, that is a great suggestion. So top 5 reasons to attend Virginia Western. First off, we're affordable. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but the cost is relatively low for college and career training. We have a new facilities and locations. Virginia Western's actually 50 years old, over 50 years old, probably close to 60 now. I think in 2026 will be 60 years old. So, but the college is beautiful. It is updated. It is very nice. We have, our location is in Roanoke, but we do have campuses all over, depending on what you want to do. So if you're interested in culinary arts, which is cooking, we have a cooking campus in downtown Roanoke. It looks like the Food Network, I swear. So if you're interested, email Rachel and I will take you on a tour of that. Our automotive program is at a Berglund facility, lots of different spots. We have a lot of programs that we'll talk about. There are transfer opportunities, so you can start at Virginia Western and transfer to a four-year school. You can even transfer out of state. So some people think, oh, if I go to Virginia Western, I can only go to colleges in Virginia. That is not true. You can transfer other places. And then student support services. We have lots of student support services available. I'm just going to name a few of them. Have any of you guys ever heard of Upward Bound? Okay, that's a program that they have here at the high school. We have the college version of that, so it's a program that supports you through college. Rachel, student support services?
Yeah, so TRIO, that's the program she was talking about, that we also have Office of Disability. So if you have a 504 or an IEP plan in high school, you can sign up for accommodations. And even if you don't have that in high school, but you think you might need accommodations when you get to college, so that might be things like longer time to take tests or a quiet space to take tests. Any accommodations that you need, they can help get those for you. So please sign up for those so that they can help you through college. We do have, if you've ever been in foster care, we have a program called Great Expectations that has different money and support for you in that program. And then we also have a counselor on staff. So we have a counselor full-time on staff if you ever need to talk to someone at campus, or you're ever going through something, or you know someone who is, we have a counselor on staff that you can use for free as well. So yeah, we have a lot of different support services. If you ever sign up for a tour of campus, Allison and I give those tours. So we'll show you all of those resources on campus, show you the space, fitness center, student center, all kinds of good stuff.
I'll let you talk about programs.
Yeah, I'll do that. So at the end, like she said, please get anything that you think you want from the front table. What I'm going to talk about is this blue brochure right here. So how many of you, those of you that raised your hand that you're coming to Virginia Western, did you come see us here in this room when we came down here? Some of you? Okay. So you may already have this. So this is actually a brochure that has every program that we have to offer at Virginia Western. So before I start in on that, on the back of it is Allison's and my contact information. So if you have any questions that you don't want to ask in front of the group, or you think of something next week that you have a question about, just email or call us. We're happy to answer any of those for you. So at Virginia Western, or any community college in Virginia, we offer 2-year degrees. So a lot of times your big universities, those are 4-year degrees, so they're going to be your bachelor's degrees and higher, master's, doctorate, stuff like that. And at community college, you can get an associate's degree. So we have a few different types of degrees at Virginia Western. So a lot of students come in, they know they want to go to a 4-year, but maybe they want to save some money in the beginning, first 2 years. So they come in, and all of these ones in blue, and they're kind of dispersed throughout here. Anything in blue is going to be our transfer degrees. So that means you're coming to Virginia Western, you're getting your general education classes, and then you're going to transfer into your junior year at the 4-year college. So those will be things like liberal arts, business administration, science. We do have general studies, computer science, social science, if you want to go into education or social work. So we have kind of a starting pathway for really whatever you want to do at that 4-year university. Just tell us what you want to do in the long run, and we can tell you where to start at Virginia Western. So that's everything in blue is going to be our transfer programs. So as you can see, we also have a yellow color here throughout. Those are also associate degrees. So that's a 2-year degree, but they're called Associate of Applied Science. So they have more of a hands-on aspect to them as well. So you may take a few general classes, but you're really specifically focusing on what you want to study. So we like to think of those as kind of the best of both worlds. So they're yellow. What happens when you come up to a yellow light when you're driving? Or Or you can go faster, right? Okay, so you can stop and you can go right to work, or you can keep going and finish out a 4-year degree. So they do have transferability, and those programs are things like visual design, which is our graphic design program, accounting, culinary arts, information, a lot of our IT programs, criminal justice, early childhood. We have kind of a lot of those programs that get you ready to either transfer to a 4-year, you can do that, and then, or you can go right to work because you have those hands-on skills. So mechatronics is our hands-on engineering. That's one of our yellow programs in here. So what that means is you go to work doing hands-on engineering. If you wanted to go to tech for engineering, we'd put you in our blue program of engineering. And it all depends on how much math you want to do for that. Is anyone thinking about engineering in here? Anybody? Okay. So another note I like to mention on our yellow programs is a lot of our healthcare programs. So nursing, dental hygiene, med lab tech, surgical tech, physical therapy, occupational therapy, all of those are in yellow. So they are designed to get you ready to go right to work. So if you come in, you do dental hygiene at Virginia Western, you're there about 2.5 to 3 years taking your classes, and then you go right to work. You could get a bachelor's in dental hygiene. You don't need one unless you wanted to teach dental hygiene. So it just depends on what program that you want to do, and we'll kind of show you the route to take for those. But the reason I like to mention healthcare specifically is everyone that applies to Virginia Western, you're automatically accepted. You do your application, you get a student ID number, you get an email, you're in at Virginia Western. But if you want to take one of our healthcare programs, there's another step you have to do. So we have an extra application that you do after you've taken a few classes at Virginia Western. Can anybody think why that might be? Why would we want an extra application? What are you working on when you're working in healthcare? People, yes, you're working on people, right? So you're going to be out doing clinical things. You have to have background checks if you want to go work in a hospital. You have to have vaccines. You have to have all of that. And then when you graduate from these programs, like I mentioned, it's 2.5, 3 years usually to finish a healthcare program because you do have some prerequisite classes. But then when you come out, you're making a lot of money, right? So in healthcare, you're making a lot of money. So we have a lot of students that want to do those programs, right? So what you have to do is you apply to that program, you meet all the requirements, and then when you get in, you finish out the program with those specific classes. And your advisor will help walk you through all that if that's something that you want to do. And then we also have some short-term programs. So we have credentials and career studies. That's everything in green. So green, you're going to go right to work. When you finish that, you're not getting a degree, but you are getting a certificate or a credential that you finish. And so those are things like baking and pastry. We have some IT certificates, we have different Microsoft classes, early childhood, some of our healthcare, so phlebotomy, practical nursing. Does anybody know what a phlebotomist does? What?
Take blood.
Take blood. So those are the ones who draw your blood at the hospital. So say you think you want to go into healthcare, you're not sure, you could always do one of our short-term things, get that done in a semester, and then decide, okay, did I really like that? Do I really want to work with patients, or do I want to find something else? So that's a good way to do something short-term. And then a lot of our skilled trade programs, so HVAC, heating and air, construction management, electrical wiring, maintenance, welding, those are all very short term. You can come for example, our heating and air, you can come for 2 semesters and you're walking at graduation ready to go to work. So you'll get credentials or a certificate in those programs, and they're very short term. Some of them are even as short as 5 weeks. So we have machine programs that are 5 weeks, and you can also stack those on top of each other and get extra certifications. Anything you want to add?
No, I think you did a great job. Our automotive program is only 4 classes total. You take 1 class in the fall, 2 in the spring, and then 1 in the summer, and you're done. So some of these things are really short. And like she said, with our heating and air, you can take it over 2 semesters, but that's even part-time. So a lot of these things, especially in the skilled trades, you're only going to be taking the trades that you need. So Rachel and I will mention this again later. If you're interested in anything skilled trades, we want you to register early because those are great paying jobs and they fill up really quickly because they're hands-on, there's only so many seats in each class. So Rachel talked about the program options. let's talk towards college. So it'll ask like, do you live at home with a parent, or are you on your own? Do you have a guardian? Were you in foster care? So we ask those things. They ask questions like, how many people live in your household? What other things are on the FAFSA? Rachel and I have done a couple, but.
How many are in college? I mean, it depends on everybody's situation. The FAFSA's kind of catered to each individual situation, so.
Yeah, so what it's really trying to do at the end is figure out how much your family might be able to afford to give you, and whatever it says, it always shocks me. Every time I see it for my kids, I'm like, I can't do that, but that's fine. So anyway, that's what that is, and then it's kind of designed, financial aid is to help you cover that cost of attendance. So there's always going to be times where you can't get everything covered. We'll talk about that, but that's really the goal of it. Rachel, can you hit the button? All right, so we talked about all the things college costs, and I'm looking ahead to make sure I don't jump ahead. So how we paid for it, we'll talk about grants a little bit, scholarships, work study, loans, and then program-specific funds. So there's lots of different ways. Has anybody applied to a four-year school and maybe gotten a letter that says what they think they might be able to give you yet? I can't imagine they're already doing that, but.
You have? Okay.
Yeah. I have heard that some schools, we had this discussion a couple days ago, that some schools are doing an estimate so that they can get people to sign up, and I've had some people say they've already paid their deposit at their school. So, yeah, I know. We're a little nervous because if you messed up on the FAFSA and you've got to go back and correct something, those things can change. So I just wanted to kind of know. But we'll talk about these things. Rachel, can you hit the button one more time? Yay. Okay, so this is the FAFSA. So some of you hopefully have done this already. If you haven't, there's no reason not to go ahead and maybe jump in tonight or this weekend. The FAFSA is a form that you'll fill out. Like Jeff said, it's an application, and it kind of adapts to you. As you answer questions, it will ask you other questions that kind of relate, and ask you more and more to kind of figure out how much they think your family might be able to give you towards college, how much you might be eligible for as a student. So when you fill out the FAFSA, the first thing it's going to have you do is create an account. So if you don't have a social security number, you wouldn't be able to do the FAFSA, but there is something called the VESA, the Virginia Alternative State Application. So we're going to talk about the FAFSA mainly today, but if you don't have a social security number, you're undocumented, something like that, there's an alternative application we'll help you guys with called the VESA. So let us know if you need that. But the FAFSA and the VESA are really kind of set up exactly the same. The FAFSA, you're going to do it every year you're in college. So some people fill it out one time, and then they think, oh, that's it, I'm done. Did anybody ever watch The Middle growing up? The TV show The Middle? Or maybe it's on reruns now. There's a really great episode where Sue did the FAFSA the first year, and she didn't fill it out the second year, and she ends up living in like the heating and air closet. She's like hiding on campus because she didn't know she had to fill it out every year. It was really funny. But anyway, this application, how many of you filled it out? You should have filled out the 24-25. If you filled out the one that said 23-24, you probably got an email from me that said, hey, you filled out the wrong one. So make sure you're filling it out each year for the right year. Anything you guys want to say about that?
So like she said, when you start, you're going to create an account. So you're going to make what's called the FSA ID. You'll put in all of your information, email, phone number. It's going to make your account. And then once you have the account, that's when you can go in and actually start the FAFSA form. So what it'll do, like she mentioned, it's just going to ask you all of those questions about your situation, your household, and then depending on how you answer those questions, it'll go into either more questions about you, or it'll go into like parent guardian type questions where you have to send that off to your parent and they have to fill out a part as well. So it is a little bit, this year it's a little bit different of a process. It's a little lengthy. So some of you may have had older siblings or people in your household that have filled out the FAFSA before. It's just totally different this year. So I would say sit down with your parent or guardian if you're able to and work through it together, because you're going to have their information, as in their social and their email address, to be able to send it to them so that they can complete their part as well. And then once it all comes to, everybody's filled out all of their parts, you come back in, you check and you sign electronically that you've finished everything, and that's when it sends it off. So a lot that we have seen, I want to make sure I'm not going ahead too. A lot that we have seen this year is, when I filled out my FAFSA this year, I immediately got my, what do they call call it now?
Student aid index.
I immediately got my student aid index, because it's just me and my husband in the household, and it just immediately came back. But everyone else that I have helped with has gone under review, and so they're not giving you that student aid index right now. They're kind of, I guess, leaving it to the college to get that.
Yeah, they're waiting
calculated.
for CPS to process it. That's probably not going to happen until March. So even if you were submitting your FAFSA right now, you're really not going to know what you qualify for until they actually process your FAFSA and make sure it's actually clean, don't require additional documentation. And whatever school you apply to will be getting in touch with you in regards to that.
Yeah, last night at 9:02 p.m., I actually got an email from the U.S. Department of Ed that they said, we told you we were going to send it in January, but now we're not. It's going to be in March. So they push it back, and we don't know. Hopefully that's when it happens. So they're working through issues just as we are. So if you have issues filling out the FAFSA, a lot of people get stuck. A lot of people can't create their FSA ID, or maybe your parent or guardian already had one and can't get back into their account. You really want to work with your college, or come work with us. We'll help you get through it. We have a computer lab right on campus that we can help walk you through the whole thing. So we're here to help for that. But yeah, that's all that.
Yeah, and actually what Rachel said really brought up something. I want you guys to make sure that you're writing everything down. I had a student a couple months ago, not a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, who was trying to get something in before February 1st, and he had applied the year before. His mom did the FAFSA. She thought she only had to do it one time, didn't write anything down, and she actually got their account switched. It was back, so it took like an hour to try to figure out. We were resetting passwords, calling her on the phone, trying to figure it out. So write all of your stuff down. When you go through the FAFSA, it does ask what schools you want to have it sent to. So if you haven't done the FAFSA yet, make sure you add every school you're interested in. And if you left a school off, you still can't go in and add them yet. So
That's correct.
I will say that if you applied to Virginia Western and you applied for CCAP, they know about these issues. They have said they are going to be as flexible as possible. We are not in charge of that, but we're going to hold them to it as much as we can.
Well, and I'm just going to say, you can add up to 10 schools at the same time you do the FAFSA, but think about, who you're going to be applying to when you actually submit it. Now, one thing about writing it down, you guys have smartphones, take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Take a picture of your FSA ID and password. It'll say, show your password, take a picture of it. You always have that record.
Oh, and the challenge questions as well. The student could not remember. They were trying to figure out, and because the mom and the student flip-flopped their information, he was asking her who her favorite teacher was and all this mess. So take a picture of the challenge questions, put it in your phone, put those answers in. Okay, Rachel, hit the next button. All right, so the FAFSA, like Rachel said, as you're filling it out, it's going to ask you, who do you live with, what's your living situation, and it's going to determine if you need parent information. So pretty much, you're going to need parent information on the FAFSA until you're 24, with a few exceptions, okay? So if you've ever been, if you have a legal guardian, so a legal guardian is somebody who is not one of your biological parents, who is your legal guardian, okay? So there's paperwork that says they have you. Now there are some people who get their parents mixed up with a guardian, okay? So let's say your parents aren't together and one of your parents has custody of you. That is not your legal guardian, that's your parent. So if you have a legal guardian, if you were a ward of the court, if you were in foster care after the age of 13, if you are married, or if is it actively in the military?
Yeah.
Any of those things might make you what we call independent, where you wouldn't need your parent information.
Or if you have a child.
Or you have a child, but yeah.
Hey, I did it when I was in high school, so.
So no, I was just thinking sometimes we get into the never mind. So anyway, with all those things, those are things that would make you probably an independent student where you wouldn't need your parent information. Like we said, the FAFSA is going to be completed every year you attend college. So as you fill out the FAFSA, if you fall into that dependent category, which most of you probably will, when you hit the next button, it's going to ask you to give us your parent name, the parent email, and the parent will get an invitation to fill out that FAFSA. So help you with that. They're calling them contributors. Yay. Okay, jump ahead, Rachel. Okay, let's talk about grants versus loans. Rachel, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so when you fill out the FAFSA, that is what, like she mentioned, all of the schools kind of in the country, most of them, take the FAFSA, and that's gonna determine what you get, whether it's federal funds, which you can get from the FAFSA, so that's gonna be things like a Pell Grant, state funds that are maybe from the state of Virginia that come from that, and then also you could get work study, which is through financial aid, but it lets you work on campus and get paid for that like hourly. And then we also have loans, of course. So you can get all of those. The difference between a grant and a loan is that grants, you don't have to pay those back. Are there certain situations where you do? Okay. You don't have to.
Well, only if you fully withdraw within a semester. Now,
Okay.
if you're attending and you just stop attending and fully withdraw, then you didn't earn the entire portion of it.
Okay.
You can have that
So,
first.
grants, generally, you do not have to pay those back. Loans, you have to start paying those back 6 months after you graduate. Mine are coming up in June. I'm not looking forward to it. But we have so many different grants at Virginia Western. The majority of students come to Virginia Western and don't have to pay that much money out of pocket because of different grants, scholarships, things that we have, but we do have loans. So there are truly situations where maybe your parent really does make too much money and you don't get any, you're not in a certain program that gets certain funds, so the only option you have is to take out loans, and we do offer that as well. So anything you want to add, Jeff, on the different types of?
Well, the student loans, just want to say, aren't credit-based, so don't be scared that you have a low credit score. It's guaranteed through the government. These are guaranteed student loans, not credit-based, so don't worry about that. If you need the money, apply for it, and you're going to get it.
And a lot of students that do start out at Virginia Western, they may be able to come and get different grants here. And then when you get to your four-year school, you may be looking at having to take out loans because like she mentioned, the tuition there is a lot higher. But we do offer that at Virginia Western as well. And especially for some of our programs and some of our adult students that come in, maybe in situations where they need that. So like he said, if you do need that, just talk to us. We'll walk you through it and kind of tell you how to go about getting those as well.
And I'll just throw out, with the grants, if you filled out the FAFSA, what it's kind of looking at first is, are you eligible for a Pell Grant? So a Pell Grant is kind of the big federal grant that you can get, and like Jeff said, stay in your classes so you don't end up owing any part of that back. But the Pell Grant, what's the Pell Grant going to be this year? If you're full-time.
If you're full-time and if you have a low SA index, it's like $7,395.
So there,
per year.
yeah, so there are some students who come to Virginia Western, and because our cost is so low, they actually get their classes paid for, they have enough money for their books, their supplies, and their fees, and they even get a refund check in the middle of the semester for what they did not use.
Yeah.
So people always ask me, what do I do with this money? And I always say, you should do something educational with it if you can, but really, do whatever you want. I always know it's refund season when I see people coming in with like new shoes. One time I saw this guy sporting a new guitar across campus. And don't they come out usually in like April, May? And I remember he was outside strumming, and I was like, okay, must be refund season. So yeah, we do have some people that get enough, and you might have so many scholarships, so we'll talk about that next. Whatever financial aid you get, if you don't spend it, it gets refunded to you. So there are people who get to come to Virginia Western and they get money back. There are people who get some money from grants, like maybe you fill out the FAFSA and you only get a partial grant from Virginia or the Pell Grant, and then CCAP might help you out. So definitely grants, I just wanted to mention, because the cost of attendance is low at Virginia Western. But I do want to throw out that whatever you get in terms of federal grants from the FAFSA, that's what you also get at your four-year school. So imagine if you do happen to qualify for that full Pell Grant, and it's $7,000, at Virginia Western, that's going to take you all the way past everything that you're going to need. But if you're looking at a place like Virginia Tech, or Radford, it's probably not going to take you as far, and you're going to be in a situation where you have to get some loans. So yeah, that's all I was going to say. All right, so next thing is scholarships. Oh, where did my scholarships thing go? Yep. Skip ahead, Rachel, one more, and then we'll go back to this one. All right, that's out of order. I got to fix that. Okay, so scholarships. Has anybody applied for scholarships? They don't have to be Virginia Western ones. Okay. So scholarships are a great opportunity for you guys. Ask your counselors and teachers about scholarship opportunities. I think you guys, are yours online this year? Okay.
Yeah, a lot
They
of
can go
them
to
are.
the counselor webpage and just,
So I've been visiting Franklin County for 13 years now. Back when I first started here at Virginia Western, I came to Franklin County every Wednesday. There used to be an accordion file like this in the counseling office, and students would come and flip through to get all the scholarships. They'd pull out a piece of paper, fill out the scholarship. So that's how long I've been visiting Franklin County. But ask your teachers about the scholarship opportunities. You can apply through your colleges. So a lot of colleges have financial aid deadlines. And what those deadlines are deadlines for you to get your stuff in by that date, concluding your FAFSA, your applications for them to look at you for things like merit aid, need-based aid, and things like that. And some of these schools, think about the Techs, the JMUs, the Radfords, where they have thousands upon thousands of people. Sometimes if you miss that deadline, I don't know how much they're going to be able to help you. Small schools are usually a little bit more flexible and easier to work with, but if you're looking at somebody like Tech, what did they have? Does anybody see where Tech had 55,000 applicants this year? So you got to get your stuff in on time. It's crazy, right? I went to Tech before they had a good football team, and that's debatable. So
They're still not very good.
Still,
Good.
I'm a hockey fan, but they're still not very good.
I always tell people I'm the worst hockey fan. Even when I was there, I lived right by the stadium. I'd be like, oh, there's a game today. So anyway, so apply through your colleges, get your stuff in on time. For those of you guys who applied for CCAP, that's the Community College Access Program, the deadline for that was February 1st. If you missed it, we have other scholarships that open on March 1.